Hi everyone, this is Hax. I'm making this video because at this point I've determined that certain things will never be resolved unless I provide a proper explanation for my actions from a few years ago. This video is not intended to reignite things, but rather to close the void by answering the questions many people still have about the situation surrounding my ban. I'm also hoping to prove my innocence to people, or at least prove to people that I'm not as guilty as they think. The sad truth about what happened a few years ago is that I didn't need to overthink things to such an extent. None of the lengthier videos I released were ever necessary, and I accept the fact that I deserve to serve time for them. However, I wasn't wrong in thinking that I had to speak up in some capacity back during that time period. Now that some time has passed, I'd like to recap the events which were ongoing back then so that I can show what a more reasonable course of action would have looked like. The sequence of events which called me to action a few years ago was spurred by the release of Sam Ox's Metagame documentary. Metagame was aired to the general public on December 11, 2020. The second day of the Metagame broadcast was notable in that it contained information which pertained to Leffen's ban from 2013. This led to an exchange in which Leffen expressed that he was being defamed by his portrayal within Metagame. Sam Ox had no choice but to agree to remove all Evidence.zip related information from Metagame due to how much pressure he was faced with that night. Sam Ox then came back 4 months later to let people know that he'd be making it up to Leffen with a 9th episode that would feature him. That episode would air on June 5, 2021. Sam Ox went on to win awards for producing Metagame, which contains this episode. In the aftermath of this situation, I explained that I was experiencing psychosis back when these events were ongoing. This is something that can happen in response to highly traumatic and abusive circumstances. However, I never explained what those circumstances were, so I'd like to go ahead and do that within this video. On February 9, 2013, Armada announced to Smashboards that Sweden had decided to ban Leffen for 1 year. At the bottom of Armada's post, it mentioned that there were testimonies written during this time period which contained sensitive information. I was actually the one who submitted these testimonies to tournament organizers 12 days later on February 21, 2013. These testimonies are collectively known as Evidence.zip. Their contents are in fact very unsettling, and I can't tell you how many times throughout my Melee career I deliberately kept this information a secret so that other people could be happy. I think that I would have successfully made it through my entire career without ever having to reveal this if not for the way the Metagame documentary referenced these testimonies. Since I've already alluded to them, I'll continue to tell the story. Within Evidence.zip, the cover letter directly explained that there were 9 testimonies in total. The cover letter also explained how urgent it was to ban Leffen at the time. As the years went on, everyone else who wrote these testimonies gradually retired. Armada's retirement in 2018 was notable in that it left me as the last active player in possession of these testimonies, and so I was alone in having this perspective from that point onward. This meant that when Metagame aired, I was the last one who witnessed it through the lens of the testimonies. I'll show a clip of when they were referenced during the second day of the broadcast.
My relationship with Leffen was very bad. We started to see sort of like a pattern, which was sort of like poison for the community, I would say.
Yeah, his trash talk was different, to be honest. It wasn't a brotherly. He went very, very personal with a lot of people, like telling people who've been to mental hospitals twice that they don't respect them, that he doesn't respect them because of their mental health.
And he gets him with the up smash, early up smash.
Like
kill.
I said,
he taunts.
always.
Him and I never got off very well. My first interaction with him was that I told him, oh hey, I'm kind of having a really bad hearing issue where I can't really pick up and work at the same level as most people do. What he did in reaction to that was basically making fun of me. Like he said, oh, but can you hear this? And then he tried like mouthing words. It really always felt like he was focusing on my shortcomings as a human being.
The community is sort of like a second family to me, you know? And if someone is acting like this towards, members of the family, I do not really want to interact with that, and I know these people do not want it either. He was banned from Swedish events for about a year.
He got banned by an entire country. A country banned him, that's crazy.
I guess like you could see it as, like a betrayal in a sense, but I still think it was, for the right thing for the community to like take this stand against it.
It was after this segment aired that Leffen expressed that he was being defamed. I was the only person in the community who strongly disagreed with this, as I knew very well that even the original metagame run was tame in comparison to what was written in the Evidence.zip testimonies. I've made the testimonies publicly available so that people can see that I'm not exaggerating or making things up. I sincerely apologize to the people who wrote these testimonies 11 years ago, but they've become a liability for me to have, as they cause me to view things through a different lens than other people. I think it's for the greater good that these testimonies are made available as a public resource at this point. Please note that Nicholas Ringberger and Carl Johan Boland's testimonies have been excluded, as those are two of the more sensitive ones. I'll show a few excerpts so that people can understand why I was so stressed out a few years ago. The cover letter continued to explain that for years, Leffen has imposed on the happiness of countless members of our community. His unparalleled hatred and vulgarity leave people feeling belittled and attacked wherever he goes. His self-righteousness, manipulation, lies, superiority complex, nonsensical reasons for attacking people, and refusal to change make him a threat to not only the Smash community, but society. There was also a testimony that contained an excerpt which read, "If people actually took the time to wrap their heads around what actions Leffen has exhibited toward me, Hacks, and many more, the thought of doing anything less than not welcoming him to any future tournaments or gatherings is ludicrous. The mere thought of it is preposterous, and the act of allowing the things he'll subject others to is nothing less than grotesque and an act of cruelty toward his targets. You must understand that he has yet proven to show any sign of remorse whatsoever concerning his actions, how they affect people, what they have to go through and put up with, nor how it affects not only them, but poisons the entire atmosphere and well-being of the community as a whole. He impeccably dismisses and declines any invitation or attempt to inquire in any form of dialogue or conversation regarding the situation. He just doesn't seem to care at all. And until that fact changes, it'd be preposterous to invite, accept, or allow this guy anywhere near the people he constantly subjects to acts of malicious intent, not to forget or undermine the urgency in sparing any new potential prospects. The indecency in prolonging this is truly nothing less than an act of cruelty." It was because of excerpts like these that I viewed the 9th episode of Metagame as being so horrible. Within the episode, there's no mention of the Evidence.zip victims whatsoever. There are also segments in which history is revised by making it seem as though Armada plotted a conspiracy against Leffen. This is completely illegitimate, and one of the many reasons why I'm of the opinion that the episode should be banned. To conclude things, I created this video in order to clarify why that controversy happened. I'm pleading for some empathy from community leaders and tournament organizers given how extreme these circumstances were. I was having a difficult time accepting these circumstances back when they were ongoing, and should have refrained from responding to them so hastily. I'm sorry for the hyperbole and paranoia that I exhibited on the original video. I confess that this was unnecessary. While the metagame revision was triggering, it wasn't the end of the world as I made it out to be. I apologize to Leffen and the community for projecting that narrative. I should also clarify that I'm not looking to hold Leffen accountable for what was explained in this video. I'm only looking to provide a record of the factual truth that I witnessed during that time period, which contrasted from what others witnessed. I'd like to go back to being an entertainer and contributor for the community, but in order to do that, I've realized that I have to clear my name from this. I believe the fairest outcome would be a more neutral settlement in which it's acknowledged that there were circumstances which led to this, but that I needed to do better even when being faced with those circumstances. I hope the community accepts this proposal and explanation, as I can't afford to relegate myself to the current understanding many people have of the situation. Many people think that I did this baselessly and maliciously, and that absolutely isn't true. I'm sorry for ever creating this misconception. Aside from that, I've spoken my truth and will be submitting this video to TOs in the hopes of resolving my ban situation. Thank you for watching.